My fiancé Ethan, a psychiatrist, fell in love with his patient Ivy. Without hesitation, I reported their relationship to the hospital. Ethan faced disciplinary action. Ivy later committed suicide due to depression. Blaming me for her death, Ethan pushed me off a building. Loving Ivy was my mistake. But how dare you destroy her? Rewinding time. I overhear 18-year-old Ethan sending voice messages to Ivy. His clarification dripped with affection. Lena and I are just neighbors. It's you I love, my little rose. Clutching Ethan's cancer diagnosis behind the door, I crumpled the document. Our families had been close since childhood, with elders joking about arranging marriage since we were toddlers. Everyone assumed we'd end up together eventually. During our senior year winter break, we both underwent physical exams. My results showed perfect health, while Ethan's revealed early-stage leukemia. Last lifetime, I'd rushed to the Moore residence immediately, staying through his chemotherapy at the cost of failing college entrance exams. After retaking them, I settled for inferior universities and majors. Meanwhile, Ethan recovered miraculously, aced his exams, graduated from prestigious medical school, and became sought-after psychiatrist. This time, I wouldn't waste my youth nurturing this future traitor. Placing the diagnosis report on the Moore family's entryway cabinet, I returned their house key. Mr. Moore stayed busy with business dinners. Mrs. Moore obsessed with mahjong marathons. When would they find the medical report? God knows. Returning home, I found my rejuvenated parents excitedly discussing plans. The déjà vu gripped me. Dad revealed their house hunting intentions. Our current government-assigned apartment had housed 3 generations since my great-grandparents' era. Last lifetime, they'd scraped together down payment money only for me to beg them fund Ethan's treatment instead. Now I smiled genuinely. Great. Are we looking at Southern District developments? They exchanged glances, the Southern complex being their top choice. Our current Eastern neighborhood offered convenient commutes to school and workplaces. But Mom hesitated. Won't this affect your studies? I chuckled reassuringly. Mom, during the second semester of senior year, I can live on campus. It's just. Mom's gaze faltered. I won't be able to help you move. After I finished speaking, Mom visibly relaxed. After dinner, I returned to my room to study, though in truth I kept my ears pricked to catch my parents' conversation in the living room. Dad said while washing dishes, "Teenagers are so fickle. Didn't you test the waters earlier and she said it wouldn't affect her?" Mom replied with lingering apprehension, "I just hope so. We're moving much farther away. Do you really think Lena will let go of Ethan that easily?" Dad remained optimistic. Lena's always prioritized her studies. Don't worry. She knows her own mind. In my previous life, after Ethan and I started dating, Mom never fully approved of our relationship. When I asked why, she said, "You're always the one giving while Ethan's grown accustomed to taking." Such relationships lack stability. If someday, she never finished that sentence because I cut her off. Back then, my entire world revolved around Ethan. How could our decade-long bond possibly be unstable? Until the day Ethan missed our wedding dress appointment. When I went to the hospital to confront him, I found him kissing Ivy passionately on his office desk. Nothing in this world remains unbreakably constant. I snapped photos through the door crack and immediately emailed them to every hospital administrator. Had Ethan cheated with anyone else, I might not have pursued their ruin so viciously. But Ivy, that same Ivy who'd appeared mysteriously during Ethan's senior year as a sophomore transfer student from poverty. For her, Ethan had risked early romance scandals. Seen his grades plummet, skipped classes, gotten into fights, collecting every disciplinary strike imaginable. Yet after Ethan's cancer diagnosis, Ivy severed ties immediately. When I later tracked her down for Ethan's sake, the real Ivy bore no resemblance to her gentle, resilient facade. She'd been entangled with multiple trust fund heirs, watching Ethan fight for survival in his hospital bed. I kept this truth buried. Years later, as Ethan and I approached our wedding day, they rekindled their affair. Our years together drowned like a child I'd nurtured myself. Sinking into time's merciless river, the pain bled me dry, so I made sure they suffered worse. But after exposing them, I never received Ethan's apology. Ivy died instead, an unforeseen consequence. I hadn't believed her depression was real, assuming it another ploy like her poor little me act in high school. The same girl I'd seen slipping into parked Kians on street corners. She'd always excelled at such games. Yet Ethan blamed me for everything. He argued with me. Falling for Ivy was my mistake. But how dare you accuse me of causing her death? Lena retorted defiantly. Did I really kill her? Why not admit your own medical incompetence? Ethan, since when does treating depression require betting your patients? You had a fiancée. She knew you were getting married. You both messed up. Yet everyone blames me. Ethan laughed through tears, teetering on the edge of breakdown. None of this stopped him from shoving me toward the open window. The stomach-lurching freefall sensation perfectly mirrored my recurring nightmare. My terrified scream brought my parents rushing into the room. Lena! What's wrong? My mother cradled my shaking form. It's just a dream. Sweetheart. Just a bad dream. Just a dream? I blinked at their concerned faces, wiping cold sweat from my brow. Mom. Dad. Can we move? Sooner rather than later? They exchanged that look parents reserve for unstable teenagers before nodding. After rebirth, I had two simple goals. 1, wait for Ethan to die. 2, make sure he dies far away from me. I became a recluse until the new semester. When Ethan called, I let it ring. His group chats got muted, though living in the apartment below ours. His knocks met locked doors or my parents' polite deflections. He seemed perplexed. The girl who'd once orbited his world like a lovesick satellite had vanished. But Ivy soon filled the void. His social media overflowed with dawnlit vegetable harvests, rickety produce carts, and haggling anecdotes at farmers' markets. While seniors nationwide crammed for college entrance exams, Ethan sweated in suburban fields. As I clawed for every precious point in practice tests, he bargained over penny differences in cabbage prices. His posts romanticized the vibrant authenticity of manual labor, dismissing his former privileged academic life as suffocating drudgery. I couldn't decide whether Ivy's charm had bewitched him or his brain cells were malfunctioning. His carefully curated feed, hidden from parents and teachers, sparked intervention attempts. Classmates who tried reasoning with him left clutching overpriced kale. Eventually, they dragged me into it. Sophia, my former desk mate and chief Ethan Lena shipper, called fuming. What did you do to Ethan? One winter break and he's turned into the male version of a love-struck fool. He'll deplete entire vegetable fields at this rate. I snorted despite myself. This isn't funny, she protested. Did you two break up? So I told her about Ethan confessing to Ivy. Ethan and I were neighbors who grew up together. We just seemed a bit closer than most. He never confessed to me, and I never said I liked him either. Sophia, we were never actually together. So how could we even break up? Sophia paused for a second before going ballistic. Ugh. What kind of guy is Ethan? He remembers your menstrual cycle, brings you heating patches and ginger syrup. What kind of neighbor does that? When we had to choose between arts and sciences, Ethan was better at STEM. He wanted to switch to liberal arts for you. Had a huge fight with the homeroom teacher in the office. In the end, you compromised and both went to the STEM track. Every holiday except Tomb Sweeping Festival, you always prepared gifts for him. He used to reciprocate too. Aren't you two just missing that one confession? How did things end up like this? I listened quietly as Sophia listed every detail. Finally, my heart clenched. Weren't we just missing that one confession? In my previous life, I got that confession by Ethan's hospital bed. He'd watched me exhaust myself caring for him, dozing uncomfortably at his bedside, before finally giving in and ruffling my hair, whispering those words, "Lena, I like you." Such beautiful promises, made when we were too young. What I thought was undying devotion was just Ethan's pity or gratitude. I fought tooth and nail to save Ethan's life, yet he could casually take mine because of Ivy's death. Who really loved whom unconditionally? Isn't the answer obvious? Sophia. One Ethan isn't more important than the college entrance examination. Sophia's family is wealthy. If she failed the college entrance examination, they'd just send her abroad. That's why she can ship couples without any pressure. But I'm not like that. Sophia, being cheerful, quickly moved on. Screw that jerk. Once we're in college, Lena, you'll have your pick of hot guys. I laughed it off and changed the subject. I'd already wasted too much on an unworthy relationship. Now was the time to reclaim my life. That night during dinner, we heard violent shouting and things breaking upstairs at the Moore family's place. My dad stood up. He used to work at the same company as Mr. Moore. Hearing trouble, he instinctively wanted to intervene. My mother frowned, telling him to wait. They exchanged glances before turning to me. I said calmly, "Dad, they're still heated. Go later." He grunted and sat back down. Mom remarked lightly, "The neighbors are all talking." Ethan kept sneaking out to help some girl's family sell vegetables. An acquaintance saw him and told his parents. Dad picked up his chopsticks again. "Oh, that's what happened. Not our business then." But after dinner, Mrs. Moore showed up at our door with a bruised Ethan. My parents were stunned but had to invite them in. Mom got pulled onto the sofa as Mrs. Moore started sobbing. We thought it'd be simple venting. But Mrs. Moore pointed at Ethan standing rigidly in our living room and scolded, "This child has always been close with your Lena. It's all that vegetable seller girl's doing. Stirring up trouble during such a critical senior year instead of focusing on studies. Running off to the suburbs to help sell produce. Our families have been close for years. I only recognize Lena as part of the Collins family. I won't let some market girl ruin Ethan's future. Ethan wronged Lena. Bring Lena out. Ethan must apologize to her." Mrs. Moore's words tumbled out in chaotic fragments, desperately trying to chain me to her son. My mother gently removed Mrs. Moore's hand from her arm. "You're distraught. Who's this vegetable seller? What does she have to do with Ethan? How does this involve Lena?" My father interjected. "Lena hasn't left the house all winter break or seen Ethan." "Ethan, isn't that right?" The addressed teenager lifted his bruised face with icy pride. "Mother, stop wasting breath. I only love Ivy. Lena means nothing to me." My mother chuckled. "Hear your son, Mrs. Moore? Who Ethan loves has nothing to do with Lena. They're merely classmates and neighbors. These are high school seniors." My father's voice hardened. "Enough with this relationship nonsense. I'll have words with Mr. Moore about this." Seeing her son undermining her and my parents rejecting her pleas, Mrs. Moore abruptly stopped crying. She hastily dragged Ethan away. This visit had been hidden from Mr. Moore, and discovery would mean family turmoil. As my father closed the door, he called after them, "Don't come again." He turned to my mother, fuming. "We're moving. Who do these Moores think they are? Their precious Ethan isn't the only catch." What bullshit! The Southern District townhouse stood barely lived in, its pristine condition requiring only our personal belongings. On moving day, neighbors inquired about our sudden departure. "Out with the old. My father cheerfully explained, loading the truck with essentials. From her balcony, Mrs. Moore secretly watched our exodus, too ashamed to show herself. But Ethan appeared, face battered yet urgent. Lena, why are you leaving so suddenly? To avoid being someone's backup plan. I snapped. He flushed. That was Mother's idea. I heard everything that day. I cut him off. We're nothing to each other now. Ethan. My words hit like a gavel's final strike. Across the street, I spotted Ivy's slender figure peering from the gate, deliberately angling myself to create the illusion of intimacy with Ethan. I let our shadows merge like reluctant lovers parting. Ethan still grasped at straws. Can't we at least stay friends? The afternoon sun stretched our silhouettes into grotesque parodies across the pavement, a last dance for spectators, already fading with the Collins family's departure. I smirked. Ethan, don't flatter yourself. I don't even want to be neighbors anymore, let alone friends. If transferring schools weren't inconvenient during senior year, I wouldn't even want to see you again. From now on, just like you said, we're nothing to each other. I emphasized the word we sharply. Ethan's face crumpled with heartbreak. How pathetic. When he casually reduced our decade-long childhood bond to mere neighborly acquaintance. Yet now that I'm truly distancing myself as he wished, he suddenly starts getting sentimental. Lena, let's go. My mother called. Coming. I chirped, flying to my parents' side like a homing pigeon. This second chance at life made me truly understand that old verse, even caged birds long for familiar woods. However stormy the world gets, I still have a home. As the moving truck finished loading, our family car idled at the community gate. Right on cue, Ivy came running into Ethan's arms, sobbing dramatically in broad daylight. Mrs. Moore watched everything from her balcony. How could she miss the vegetable seller's daughter she'd always scorned, now publicly accosting her son? Within minutes, Mrs. Moore stormed downstairs, physically separating them before slapping Ivy across the face. The security guard deliberately slowed the gate mechanism to prolong the spectacle. My father frowned and honked. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Ethan's mortified expression, his shameful scene fully exposed to our family. See you around. The guard grinned while finally opening the gate. My father's ears turned crimson. Old acquaintances, they wanted us to see that show. He muttered. I burst out laughing, the sound contagious until my parents joined in. Though unkind, we all thought it serves them right. In this reborn life, I have two simple goals. Wait for Ethan to die. Make sure he dies far away. Choosing the east-facing room in our new home. I wake daily to dawn's first light, that delicate sunbeam dancing across my textbooks like mischievous fairies. Having squandered one lifetime, I now treasure every moment. With college entrance exams approaching, I asked my parents for a private tutor. They agreed immediately, relieved the Ethan situation hadn't shaken me. By week's end, they'd secured Jason through family connections. Lena Collins was a sophomore at a prestigious university. True to his name, Jason seemed born for STEM. Even the driest scientific concepts became comprehensible and profound when he explained them. In my previous life, I'd endured a gap year. The college entrance exam remained a lingering regret decades later. I'd frequently have nightmares of sitting in that examination hall again, staring at science section essay questions that stayed stubbornly blank. My throat would constrict until breathing became impossible. The dream version of me desperately trying to write answers on blurred test papers I couldn't decipher. Each time I'd wake up trembling, only to hear Ethan's derisive chuckle from beside me, still haunted by that damn exam after all these years. No comfort offered. He'd already achieved success. So my trauma meant nothing. What I finally understood was that my deepest fear wasn't the exam itself, but the existential terror of losing control over my own destiny. Returning from winter break, Sophia immediately pulled me aside. Lena, are you okay? Confused. I shook my head. You didn't check the class group chat? An anonymous account posted security footage on the campus confession page. The video Sophia showed me depicted Ivy approaching Ethan's apartment building. The grainy footage showed their embrace, followed by Mrs. Moore storming out to slap Ivy. The whole school's talking, Sophia whispered. They say you and Ethan grew up together. But some freshmen stole him. Some even claim you leaked the video yourself. Everyone's placing bets on how you'll win him back. My brows furrowed. The melodrama I'd tried avoiding had finally splattered onto me. Ethan and I shared classes. I'd anticipated awkwardness. Not this circus. Our homeroom teacher spent the entire period lecturing about focusing during critical senior year and avoiding romantic distractions. I raised my hand to request seat reassignment. The teacher glared at me, then at Ethan across the room. By afternoon, we'd been exiled to opposite corners like quarantined patients. Both of us ranked top 10 academically, Ethan occasionally claiming subject championships. The administration would tolerate personal drama, but never at the expense of college admission rates. My father arrived that evening with apartment security tapes. Timestamps proved our moving truck had already exited the complex when Ivy approached Ethan. The video's filming angle and timeline made my involvement impossible. My daughter's college future isn't collateral damage for some boy's poor judgment, Dad declared. The confession page post disappeared overnight. Ivy's parents were summoned, only to publicly slap their daughter across the face in the principal's office. Ethan witnessed this during his own disciplinary meeting and lunged at Mr. Clark, sparking another shouting match that echoed through the corridors. During the break, many teachers and students witnessed the dramatic scene from different floors of the building corridors. Sophia couldn't resist joining the onlookers either. I simply put on my headphones, shutting out the commotion. An ambulance arrived at campus after Ethan got pushed during the scuffle with Jason, resulting in unstoppable nosebleeds and temporary paralysis. The hospital examinations later revealed Ethan's leukemia diagnosis to Mr. and Mrs. Moore, who were stunned their son had seemed perfectly healthy days earlier when he got beaten up. The news spreading through school made many feel like they were living through some tragic teen angst novel, star-crossed lovers from different social classes defying parental opposition and sacrificing college entrance exams for love. Now Ethan's cancer diagnosis added that bittersweet, cinematic tragedy to their romance. Sophia grumbled in frustration. Wait, wasn't this about Ethan cheating on you with that Ivy girl? Since when did it become some terminal illness love story? I smiled and ruffled her hair. Focus on studying. Even soap operas would reject this melodramatic plot. Exactly, Sophia snapped. Books are better than watching those two toxic idiots anyway. Truthfully, this story no longer required me as the obsessive antagonist. Reality itself had become crueler than any fictional villain. While classmates organized hospital visits for Ethan, I never joined. Those who asked received my standard response, textbook in hand. I'd say more important things to do. They couldn't argue, buried under their own study materials. Some whispered about my heartlessness, which Sophia always shut down. If their love more precious than life is so great, why gossip about Lena? Gradually, people stopped paying attention to me, their focus shifting to Ivy's dramatic displays, frequent tardiness explained through teary whispers about hospital visits. Sophia would roll her eyes hearing this. Through it all, Ethan remained hospitalized, glowing while holding Ivy's hand. Envy me, he'd declare. I've found love worth dying for. This became his infamous catchphrase. As for college entrance exams, that ship had sailed. Let them have their tragedy. I'd already closed this chapter. Didn't they say it's early stage? Why put on that dramatic dying expression? The words were harsh, but music to my ears. I wouldn't indulge her further, simply flipping through more test papers for practice. Sophia's abysmal grades showed no improvement throughout high school. Yet her recent midterm scores skyrocketed by over 100 points. When she saw the results, her expression mirrored our homeroom teacher's disbelief before she finally screamed, "Is this real? Did I actually earn this? First time in my life I scored this high without cheating." Our teacher didn't press the cheating angle. Given Sophia's personality and family background, cheating seemed unnecessary. See? The teacher beamed at the class. Until that final college entrance exam. Anything's possible. Keep striving. Young warriors. Laughter erupted. The classroom buzzed with renewed motivation. Sophia became obsessed with studying, surviving on 3 hours sleep, abandoning colored contacts and makeup, washing her face with plain water despite acne outbreaks. Feeling purposeful is amazing, she told me, eyes shining. Like if I try hard enough, I can actually grasp something important. My nose stung as I smiled. That's what seizing your destiny feels like. The opportunity I'd lost in my previous life. Halfway through the semester, Ivy's absenteeism became untenable. While the school sympathized with Ethan's illness, they couldn't condone his relationship with Ivy indefinitely. Administrators suggested her parents consider withdrawal. The Clarks struggled financially to support their daughter's education, only to watch her play unpaid nurse. Worse still, the Moores treated them with thinly veiled contempt, as if their daughter was gold digging. Did Ethan and Ivy's love remain unshaken? Not everyone would pave way for their grand romance. I focused on building my future while awaiting their inevitable downfall. Then during recess, Ivy appeared at our classroom door. She wanted me to visit Ethan at the hospital. I'm no oncologist. What could I possibly do? You're his precious life or death romance. Should I comfort him with childhood neighbor stories? Tell me exactly what to say or do that'd satisfy you both. Tears welled in her eyes. Perfected victim act that always worked on Ethan. But here at the senior hallway, her presence felt like provocation. Sophia shoved through the crowd, barking, "Got time to gawk? Better hit the books." The homeroom teacher, Jason Brooks, following behind her, frowned sternly. "Examining Lena. You're a freshman, right? What business do you have with seniors?" Ivy stammered timidly. "I came to see Lena." Jason's lips twitched with suppressed amusement. "You're Ethan's little girlfriend, aren't you? Shouldn't you be at the hospital with him right now?" Ivy's delicate face flushed then paled repeatedly. The entire school knew about their dramatic teenage romance. Why bother denying it? I wanted to beg Lena to visit Ethan at the hospital. Ethan's my student too," Jason interrupted. "I'm keeping track of his condition. The recent chemo sessions have been brutal, constant vomiting, hair falling out in clumps. Do you really think it's appropriate for visitors right now?" When Ivy tried emotional manipulation, Jason deflected it effortlessly. I nearly laughed aloud. Did she truly believe people couldn't see through her transparent schemes? Had playing the devoted girlfriend to Ethan inflated her ego this much? Watching Ivy's stubborn persistence, Sophia spoke up. "Why don't we organize a student delegation to visit Ethan this afternoon?" "Sir?" To everyone's surprise, Jason agreed immediately. Ivy's eyes widened comically, clearly unprepared for this outcome. People always crave drama. My life isn't some melodrama for others' entertainment. They can play audience all they want, I'll simply refuse to perform. But since Ivy loves theatrics so much, I'll give her center stage. Ethan's condition proved worse than expected. Dark hollows engulfed his eyes, cheeks sunken into skeletal proportions. Sophia recoiled as if seeing a corpse. I'd witnessed this exact scene in my past life. Back then, my heart had shattered watching him deteriorate. Now, Ethan lay motionless beneath a beanie concealing his patchy hair, intermittently retching into a basin while Mrs. Moore cleaned up. The putrid stench of sickness permeated the room. Sophia bolted for the restroom. "Where the hell are you running off to? You little Mrs. Moore's tirade died mid-sentence when she realized Ivy had vanished, leaving only Lena and Jason in view. Spotting me, Ethan's mother froze awkwardly. Lena, you came. Hearing my name. Ethan struggled upright despite his mother's protests. His bloodless lips curved into a fragile smile when our eyes met. That familiar desperate hope flashing across his gaunt features, the same look that had once destroyed me. He was acting too. Acting like a normal Ethan. How could someone as proud as him be willing to see me now? Letting his dignity be trampled? I heard Mrs. Moore sniffle before saying to him, Ethan, are you okay? Ivy asked us to visit you, hoping to give you more encouragement. We're about to take our college entrance exams. We really hope you recover soon so we can face this crucial battle together. The simplest, most sincere words felt like brutal mockery to Ethan now. The teacher and Mrs. Moore stepped aside to talk. Ethan's eyes churned with turbulent emotions. Did Ivy send you? Well, she said you wanted to see your teachers and classmates. I needed to tell him about Ivy's thoughtful little arrangement for him. Ethan suddenly shoved aside the bedside tray table and collapsed back onto the hospital bed, body convulsing violently. The teacher urgently summoned doctors and nurses. Through the hospital room door, Mrs. Moore's sobs choked her words while the teacher heaved a heavy sigh. I comfortingly patted Mrs. Moore's shoulder and handed her a tissue packet. Mrs. Moore. Ethan's so strong. He'll pull through for Ivy's sake. Mrs. Moore looked up with an expression of visceral pain. Ivy and Ethan broke up. When you thought about it, the situation was painfully straightforward. Much like their love that had bloomed from uncertain origins. It had arrived swiftly and vanished just as abruptly. During her caretaking, Ivy had stopped recognizing the shape of love. She was still a student, yet found herself taking frequent leave to nurse Ethan in the hospital like some live-in aid. All while enduring Mrs. Moore's tirades, her own parents' reproaches, and criticism from teachers and classmates. She couldn't take it anymore. It's not like I gave you leukemia. Why does everyone act like this is my fault? Ethan stared at her as though she were a stranger. Then why did you send Lena to see me? Ivy froze, then jutted her chin defiantly. You grew up with her. Did you think I wouldn't realize you have feelings for her too? Ethan looked stunned. All those years we spent together day and night, he was always different with me. But ever since Ivy appeared, he became captivated by her. Ivy was like a wild rose blooming from untamed soil, radiating far more vitality than my rule-following, bookish self. Poverty hadn't constrained Ivy, if anything. It highlighted her raw authenticity. Their first meeting happened when a child fell in front of a rich kid's car. Ivy had rushed forward to shield the child, fiercely arguing with the entitled driver. That version of Ivy, brave, tenacious, luminous, was what made Ethan's heart stir. He defied his family, quarreled with his parents, all for her. Why couldn't Ivy love him with matching fierceness? Why did she claim exhaustion after mere months? Ivy, even if you pity me, you shouldn't say this now. Ivy cut him off. I'm pitiful enough already, why would I pity you? I'm not Lena. To continue her education and reduce the public scrutiny, Lena transferred to another city without notice. Her parents, migrant workers struggling to make ends meet in the city, saw little difference in relocating. The Collins family left without even a farewell note for the Moores. When Mr. and Mrs. Moore went searching for Lena, her homeroom teacher relayed the message. Lena had broken up with Ethan and requested no further contact. The Moores were furious. Yet what right did they have to criticize her? By all accounts, their teenage romance had clearly disadvantaged Lena, a sentiment shared by many faculty members including her teacher. The passionate teenage love story dissolved within months, busy with their own lives. School staff and students merely chuckled when hearing updates. My parents privately lamented the situation but kept silent around me. Honestly, What could a few months of puppy love withstand in life's grand scheme? My past self had been foolish to cling to childhood notions of Ethan being my destined partner through thick and thin. Having endured the psychological and physical toll of caring for Ethan during his critical illness, I knew teenage Lena could never withstand such challenges. I deliberately watched their relationship crumble under reality's weight, morbidly curious to see Ethan's suffering during his relapse. True to form, he wallowed in memories of Lena until his parents desperately reignited his will to live for proper treatment. With Jason's tutoring, my STEM grades improved steadily until I regained academic standing. That June, I entered college entrance exams with confidence. During the waiting period, Sophia and I embarked on a whirlwind tour across 3 cities in 7 days, discovering unexpected joys amidst our homeland's landscapes. When results came, I secured admission to my dream university, a prestigious institution I'd coveted in my previous life. Sophia managed to get into a decent state college, which thrilled her parents enough to support her gap year plan aiming for my university. Starting freshman year, I only learned about Ethan's situation through Sophia during winter break. He'd recovered and returned to school, but whether from chemotherapy or heartbreak, his academic performance plummeted. "Oh, really?" I responded disinterestedly. Sophia, ever the romantic, pivoted to gossip. "What about you and Jason?" Across the street, I spotted Jason holding my favorite bubble tea. "He's still pursuing me." I smiled. "Teacher-student romance? Oh wow. So forbidden and unique." Sophia squealed, maintaining her role as my chief shipper. Conveniently, Jason's university happened to be in the same city as mine. Not long after starting college, Jason began frequently asking me out for meals and showing me around this ancient capital city, eager to explore its cultural heritage. Having lived 2 lifetimes myself, albeit short ones, I easily recognized the subtle flirtations between adults. Jason kept his cropped hair neatly trimmed. Tall, handsome, and considerate. He had this habit of treating me like a child, occasionally tapping my forehead. When he confessed his feelings, I pondered for ages, when exactly had he started liking me? Jason took my hand as we strolled down the tree-lined campus avenue carpeted with fallen leaves. "We actually met as children," he revealed. "I'm 2 years older. We lived in the same residential compound where I used to play hide and seek with your kindergarten group. My family moved away when I started elementary school." I vaguely recalled such an older boy from fragmented memories of families gradually relocating from our compound. The only childhood friend I'd remained close with was Ethan. "I've always remembered you," Jason continued. "When I heard your family needed a tutor, I volunteered immediately. Yet you didn't recognize me at all, calling me Professor this and Professor that." I laughed. "So that's why you kept insisting I call you brother." Jason pulled me into an embrace, patting my hand. "This way we're not mismatched in seniority. We can barely count as childhood sweethearts." "Childhood sweethearts?" I teased. Who isn't childhood sweethearts with someone these days? During winter break, Jason showed up at my family's doorstep for New Year's greetings. My parents exchanged knowing glances as they welcomed him in. "What are you really here for?" I challenged. Jason scratched his head. "Festive visits, and to see you." My lips curved upward despite myself. "Also," he added, "there's something I'd like to discuss with your parents." Oh, parental approval. Before I could tease him, the doorbell rang. My dad opened the door with a complicated expression. Ethan walked in, followed by his parents. They froze upon seeing me feed Jason a peeled orange. The Moore's collective expressions turned stormy. Guessing they'd come to reconcile, I grabbed Jason and escaped under pretext. As we left, my dad deliberately announced to our guests, "Jason is Lena's boyfriend. He specifically came to visit us for the holidays." Jason walked slightly ahead. I couldn't tell if he'd heard. With public spaces overcrowded during the holidays, we retreated to Sophia's villa. The heiress occupied her own floor even when hosting crowds. She'd sequester herself upstairs claiming to study, undisturbed by anyone. She eyed Jason with crescent moon smiles. "So you're Professor Brooks within minutes." Jason excused himself to the balcony for air. I suspected he might spontaneously combust from embarrassment. Sophia whispered, "He's way better than Ethan could ever be." After I told her about Ethan's family visiting our house, Sophia sneered, "Back when he cheated on you, he claimed you were just neighbors. Now you're not even that anymore. Why's he still coming over? Who cares what he wants?" She continued, "Ethan only hurt you before because you let him by loving him. Frankly, I'm still hoping his illness would have finished him off. Shame it didn't work. Ethan's been acting strange since coming back." Sophia added, "He's given up on catching up academically and wants to work with his father now. Mr. Brooks has tried convincing him multiple times with his foundation. He could totally make it into a decent university." A sudden realization dawned on me, which was soon confirmed. After Jason walked me home, I unexpectedly ran into Ethan in the hallway. His intense gaze locked onto me. "Lena, you came back too, didn't you?" The real Ethan had returned. His eyes held that familiar yet alien look, like a desert traveler desperately seeking oasis. I steadied myself. "This is my home. Why wouldn't I be here?" He smiled bitterly. "Lena, I've studied microexpressions. You can't lie to me. We know each other too well." Ethan grabbed my arm. "I remember everything now. This lifetime, Ivy actually abandoned me. I've suffered enough karma. But you're the one I can't let go." Terror surged through me. How could I not fear the man who pushed me to my death in our past life? I wrenched free and bolted for my door. The sudden light from our apartment revealed my mother coming out. "Ethan, what are you doing?" I ducked aside as my father emerged. "We already settled this with your parents today. There's absolutely no future between you and Lena. Why are you still here?" Ethan said nothing, his anguished eyes burning into me. I couldn't bear to look. His parents eventually dragged him away, my father shouting after them, "If Ethan sets foot in our neighborhood again, I'll have him arrested." Knowing the Moores had barely saved Ethan from his illness, they couldn't risk his record being tarnished. They even slapped him a few times for show. My father coldly ordered them gone. I suspect Ethan returned during his treatment last year. But why come back? Why didn't he immediately seek Ivy? If he blames me for Ivy's death, why claim I'm his irreplaceable one? The questions multiplied, but nothing outweighed my bone-deep fear of him. I had finally carved out a new life with fresh love and beginnings. If Ethan refused to let go, must I lose everything? No. I absolutely wouldn't allow it. Ethan kept texting me on WhatsApp, begging to meet. What more was there to discuss between us? Yet Ethan seemed convinced of our lingering connection. "What I owe you must be repaid," his message read. I glanced at the screen but didn't respond. My life, how could he ever repay that? Late that night, drifting between sleep and wakefulness, I found myself reliving that past life. The memory unfolded in an upscale steakhouse where Ethan had unexpectedly produced a ring, kneeling before the entire dinner party to propose. After years of waiting, how could I refuse? When I said yes, happy tears ruined my makeup, forcing me to the restroom. There, I accidentally overheard Ethan's conversation with another guest. Among the attendees was a renowned surgeon recently recruited from abroad by Ethan's hospital. Ethan needed this doctor's endorsement for a crucial research project. That's why he'd chosen this particular restaurant, the surgeon's favorite, for his grand proposal spectacle. My decade-long dream, my sacred moment, had been reduced to a career maneuver. Had Ethan ever truly loved me? My former self would have clung to denial. At least he'd been willing to marry me, to progress our lives together. But now with Jason, this love felt different from my previous one-sided devotion. I finally understood what mutual, healthy love looked like. I agreed to meet Ethan on one condition: it had to be in another city where my cousins could secretly monitor the situation. We met at a neon-lit nightclub where Ivy materialized like a fever dream, gyrating in lace lingerie beneath strobe lights. The crowd roared as she finished her performance, flitting through the club to perch on a wealthy patron's lap, the same trust fund kid who'd fought over her during that street market incident years ago. Ethan's jaw tightened as he watched Ivy become someone else's gilded rose. He recognized her patron too. That dazzling version of Ivy captivated not just Ethan, but every man present. Maybe her feelings for him had been genuine once. When did the act begin? I'll never know. We knew each other too well. That's why I understood exactly how to make him feel the 1,000 cuts. For all his 2 lifetimes of experience, Ethan still couldn't master composure. He grabbed a whiskey bottle and stalked toward the dance floor. The one who ended up getting hit was Ivy's face. Before Ethan was taken away by the police, he told me, in our past life, Ivy didn't commit suicide because of depression. She was pregnant and needed someone to be the father of her child. When the trust fund kid found out, he forced her to take pills and staged the suicide scene. By the time I knew, it was too late. I thought I could start over with you in this lifetime. But you came back too. You fear me. Hate me. I see it in your eyes. There's no way for us now. Lena. The debt I owe you, I've paid with this lifetime. I'm sorry. Turns out Ethan wasn't as clever as I'd imagined. As a psychiatrist, he actually fell for Ivy's act. I thought his love for her was genuine. How else could he overlook her history and that sudden disappearance years ago? Never expected this. Guess the unattainable rose from his youth proved too alluring. Pity Ivy got disfigured. The rich kid has money but won't necessarily pay for her treatment. The Clarks are dead set on putting Ethan behind bars. Good. They never deserved a happy ending anyway. Mr. and Mrs. Moore turned gray overnight. Soon after, they divorced. My dad said old Moore had another family outside. Kids already 7 or 8. Only stayed married because Ethan showed promise. Now that Ethan finally recovered but pulled this stupid stunt, Mom added, Mrs. Moore's no saint either. Hired some village girl to care for Ethan during his illness. Got her pregnant. After Ethan's recovery, she made the girl abort. When Ethan got arrested, the girl's penniless family came causing scenes at our old neighborhood. Couldn't hush it up anymore. In my past life as Ethan's fiancé, I'd known none of this. No wonder he smashed that bottle at Ivy with such desperate fury. His family's ugly truths had broken him completely. Reborn into this life, Ethan lost his prestigious career and easy path to fame. Not only did his chronic illness return, but he faced this absurd family circus. How did he endure the cancer treatments? Leaning on that village girl's pregnancy? No amount of hardship excuses his vileness. This time, with neither me nor Ivy at his bedside, that village girl became his new tool. Ethan never deserved my love. Nor does he deserve to love anyone. 3 more years passed. As I approach college graduation, Jason graduated early and took a job at a tech giant in Beijing. He called to update me, found an apartment near your grad school. It's all hutches and historical sites around here, whole neighborhoods our playground. Warmth flooded me. From academics to fun, he's got everything covered. Jason, why are you so good to me? His low chuckle came through. Haven't you been knitting me new scarves and gloves every year? Even Sophia says so. Compared to the past when he'd throw good money after bad, Jason truly adores you now. I added with mock sweetness in the end. Even my boyfriend couldn't do that. Aw. Lena. I want new scarves and gloves too. Since I needed some materials for grad school exams, I returned to my hometown. From my parents, I learned about Ethan's news. He died. His leukemia relapsed. This time, not even his immediate family stayed by his side. I got to restart my life completely fresh. He got to restart his second and third rounds of brutal chemotherapy, his reputation ruined. His loved ones betraying him. His parents abandoning him. Now that he's dead, I feel regret. Such regret. If he had suffered even more, that would have been even better. Ethan left a suicide note that took over half a year to reach my family from Mrs. Moore. My parents said a dying man's words are kind-hearted. I noticed the envelope showed signs of being opened and re-glued. This second-hand suicide note had probably been read by countless people already. How pathetic. I smiled and accepted it in front of them. After going downstairs, I tossed it into the nearest trash can. Sophia was waiting at the community gate in her new car to take me to Hadaleo Hot Pot. Lena. I kinda want to watch the waiters do the third subject dance later. Would Jason mind? I was in great spirits. He won't. Here's something better, dinner's on me today. Sophia gasped. What's the occasion? Lena. Did you win the lottery? After rebirth, I had 2 goals. 1. Wait for Ethan to die. 2. Make sure he dies far away. After all these years, only this outcome feels truly complete. Outside the car window, sunlight streamed through blossoming trees filled with birdsong. In this life, I have family, best friends, and true love. Together, we'll attend life's next great gathering.